is that all they're doing is fighting for drugs and shooting each other for drugs, and I wish they would stop. If you haven't brought in the question of who brings the drugs in, why the drugs are brought in, for what purpose they're brought in, you will never understand the problem at all. Thus we make it clear to each and every one, when we speak of the conditions of the African masses, we begin from the very beginning with the enemy of the African masses, all unjust system that seeks to exploit us, capitalism, and especially the racist capitalist system in the United States of America. Therefore, we tell you from the very beginning, we've never taken the line of others that the biggest problem that we have is we ourselves. No, our biggest problem is our enemy, capitalism, and it must be destroyed. Even if one were to talk about the drugs in our community, if you just talk about drugs and not talk about the enemy, you make no analysis at all. Or you may sound serious.
Thank you for tapping in. This is Brian HRap B. Williams. This is the End of the Bench Media. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. First of all, thanks to my parents, Dolores and John. Without Dolores and John, there would be no me. Without me, you'd be doing something else with your valuable time. So thank you. If you haven't already, please go to www.theendofthebench.com, www.theendofthebench.com. You can see the current work. You'll be able to see this when it's live, and you'll be able to see the things that I've done over the last 90 days. Also, you can go to the End of the Bench Media on YouTube. Get everything I've done. Thank you. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend to tap in. Now. You already know this is a program called A Few Minutes with HRap. What do we do with A Few Minutes with HRap? I talk about how to make the lives of our great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren a better place to be. With that being said, today is a strategy session. This is a strategy session to make things more profitable, more livable, and having more peace in our community. The reason I want to do that today is a lot of things are awry. You know, you have people living lives to return us to a state of bondage. You have people creating lies to make other people against us, to turn other people against us, I should say. You have people who are inside of our community that think the ice is cold on the other side of the fence. They'll do anything to get to the other side of that fence. They'll do everything to destroy us in the midst because they want to be lapdogs of the people who are in power, because they have a perception that if I do everything I can to be adjacent to evil, criminality, and power, they will, in effect, offer me some of that power. We've seen that fail time and time again, generation after generation after generation, and it will continue to fail. The reason I'm addressing it today is this. I'm addressing it today is because we are in what is called an inflection point. What is an inflection point? Is when you are on a path. It's that fork in the road. It's you come to that fork, either you go left or you go right. And when we're going to say go left is going to the way of wicked, evil, destruction, devastation, discrimination, and hatred. Going left. That's going right. Going left. That's where we want to go. We want to go down the path of righteousness. We want to live lives so we can make our great-grandchildren's grandchildren's lives better. And, you know, you see those t-shirts, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. A dream could also be a nightmare. A nightmare is a dream gone awry. We can no longer walk down this path and hope that things will get better and assume things will get better and want things to get better. We must make them better. And the only way to make them better is to unify, organize, mobilize, organize, unify, and take action. Those are the only ways we can do that. A lot of people assume because things are happening the way they're happening, it's going to be okay. They can't do this. Well, they can, and they will, and they are attempting. What I'm getting at is, number one, our inability to communicate. And to communicate is kind of a broad brush to paint with. So the first part of communication is the actual ability to talk to each other. You can be a part of whatever you want to be a part of. But communication is only when two entities, whether they're people, groups, organizations, whatever you are part of, genders, when two entities come together and express their thoughts. To communicate is a compromise in itself, because you're compromising your time to speak in order to listen and absorb and process what you're hearing, not to respond, not to 3 words, 10 words into a 15-word sentence. You start talking because you assume that you know what people are going to say. People do that all the time. It happens to me all the time. People make assumptions and they start talking, start talking over you. And when you show them that you understand, and then you start talking again, they block you off again. You will never get anywhere communicating like that. A lot of people in this community and worldwide speak in that manner. And when people say, well, it happens to everybody, again, that's one of those instances whereas you're on the defensive, you're defending you and not talking about what we're speaking of. Let's have conversations. In order to have a true conversation, what you have to have is the ability to hear, the ability to process, and then, in accordance to what they said, respond. Because when you go, I know what you mean, but you couldn't understand what I mean because you interrupted me. That's the first thing. If we take the time to hear versus argue, debate, filibuster, and things of that nature, what we'll find ourselves doing is having a better understanding of the person, entity, or people in front of you. That's the only way to communicate. Communication should almost be like a negotiation. If you were negotiating your salary, you wouldn't cut the people off who are attempting to pay you or, offering to pay you. If you were negotiating your life, you would listen to what somebody said and then retort. You would offer them the respect. If your life was on the line, you would offer them the ultimate respect before you start talking, to hear everything they said so you can properly address each and every point that they make. Because there is no hurry when you're trying to fix something. There is no hurry when you're trying to fix something. When you're making repairs, you take your time so you can meticulously cover each and every base. Therefore, whatever you're repairing will work the way it was designed to work. And the only way you can do that is to listen to someone, to communicate with someone. And if you don't communicate properly, you will continue to have these missteps that we've been dealing with for 162 years as an emancipated community, and for 400 years before that. We can no longer do that. You can no longer live in a world in which you hear what other people say and respond. You can no longer and never understand. What is the purpose of communicating with someone if you don't understand? Because you have 2 ears, 1 mouth. It's difficult to talk and hear. So it's time to shut up. But more than anything, are you understanding what you're hearing? Are you responding to a portion of something? Are you responding to things like social media? Or if you're responding to somebody who has they oppose something that a portion of what you're saying, but you're so used to listening to other people or assuming that they go along with the status quo because they agree with a portion of the status quo. We can no longer communicate. That creates angst, that creates dissension, and it could potentially create an enemy from a person who could have been an ally. I've cut some people off within the last 15 days. Since, in the last 30 days, it's almost the 15th of the month. In the last 30 days, I've lost total respect for 2 people who, if you'd asked me August 1st, I respected those 2 people. I no longer respect them, and I doubt if I could ever gain respect for them because they do the things that I'm asking you not to do. And that's not why I'm doing this. But in order to have a productive relationship with everybody that's interwoven into this community, you must have ultimately respect. And then you must have the ability to adhere to what they're saying so they can respect what you're saying and how you feel. See, in my opinion, we have come to the point where there is a road less traveled, and that's why it's a narrow road. It's a narrow road. It's even speak about it in the Bible. It's a narrow road, but that's not the only road to a destination. Why do we care about how other people see what we think, how we feel, how we interact? Well, it's a lifestyle. It could be a faith. It could be the means in which you earn your finances to take care of yourself. Instead of attempting to change, attempting to adjust, or attempting to convert, how about we just go, well, that's your way of doing it. Now, the ultimate goal is to get to the center of town. If you're coming from, let's just use Chicago. If you're coming from the South Side and your goal is to get to the Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower, you can come up Western, you can come up Ashland, you can come up Racine, you can come up Halsted, you can come up State Street, you can come up Michigan Avenue, or you can catch the train, you can catch the bus, you can catch it. As long as we get there and it does not destroy anyone else in our community, that's the goal. Stop attempting to convert when you could just say, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm going to do it. Are we going to meet up at this destination at the same time? And if you're not, how about this? Is it anything I can assist you with? Instead of saying the best way to do it, because that's the best way for you. That's not communication. That's not working alongside. That's not working adjacent. That's attempting to amend the way someone else does something that you think is the best way. And it is the best way for you, but it's not the best way for the other person or myself. We must get used to working with people. Communication is the way you work with people, because when someone says, I will meet you, this is the agreed thing. As long as that thing gets done, and it's not going to destroy anybody in the community or destroy anything along the way, except that it's their path. The third thing that we need to communicate about is stop allowing the people on the outside to dictate how we feel about things on the inside and giving you erroneous facts and their skewed statistics, because all the numbers don't lie. Numbers lie every single solitary day. And since a lot of people don't want to look into numbers, it's easy to lie about those numbers. It's easy to skew those numbers. It's easy to spit out things. But numbers lie all the time. For example, let's just go something common, something very basic like basketball. At one point, Karl Malone was the number 2 scorer in NBA history. Karl Malone. It was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, and along the way, you had the late great Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and Michael Jordan right up under him. Now, at one point when he retired, Karl Malone retired a better, on paper, statistically, he scored more points than Michael Jeffrey Jordan. He scored more points than Kobe Bryant. But is Karl Malone a better scorer than Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant? Is Karl Malone a better scorer than Dominique Wilkins? He scored more points. Statistics say he's better. When you look at points per game, Kobe Bryant averaged 24 points a game. Other people average 28. Some people average 26. But are they better scorers? But the numbers, the statistics don't lie. So he had a higher average, and he shot a better field goal percentage, and he had more points. So according to the statistics, Karl Malone is better than Michael Jordan because he shot more than 50% from the field. He scored more points. So clearly he's better. According to the statistics. According to the statistics, he's better than Kevin Durant. He's better than Michael Jordan. He's better than Kobe Bryant. He's better than George Gervin. Now, if you watch the game, there's no way you can say that. Because you can simply say, you eliminate John Stockton and you eliminate at least a third of the points that Karl Malone scored. At least a third. But you wouldn't say that about Michael Jordan or George Gervin or Kevin Durant or Kobe Bryant. So stop listening to people's statistics about what's going on with you. And when you hear those statistics, ask them the source. check the source, and double check the source. That's how you communicate that this person does not know what the hell he's talking about, and he's creating a false narrative. Like my favorite stat, black on black crime, 92% of people in the black community hurt people in the black community. That is a fact. That's a fact. But in order to have something you consider bad or poor, or to be dejected about something, you must also understand the backstory. That's why you do the research. Okay, how did this end up happening? I've had somebody within the last 6 months. You always talking about the source of the problem. This is the problem. Well, that's the problem in itself. The fact that you don't understand how important why is, the why behind the why. If you herd me into specific areas, West LA, Watts, Compton, South Central. If you herd me into West Dallas, in South Dallas, if you heard me into the South Fork and Houston, if you heard me into the Ninth Ward and Louisiana, if you heard me into West Atlanta, if you heard me into the South and West side of Chicago, and don't allow me to move out of those things, who else would I get into it with? Now, then you look at other communities and their numbers are just as high, and then you've been duped into believing, but we're talking about us. In order to talk about us and make determinations about us and basically say we are something, you must compare it to something. And if you're not willing to compare and contrast, then the communication, the line of communication has been broken, and you've been duped, and you've been fooled into believing you're worse than something. But when you communicate with people, everybody knows someone who knows a little more than them. And if you don't, then maybe you need to start hanging with better people. You should never be the smartest person in the room, because if I stop this podcast for the rest of my life and never fire up ever again and go to the library every day and then spend 8 hours a day just reading, 4 hours a day just reading and getting all the information I can, I won't come close to knowing everything I need to know, let alone knowing everything in the world. But if you should know someone who knows more. And then you need to do the research and do the knowledge, as we used to call it back in the 80s. Do the knowledge. And once you get that information, you'll understand why that number's so high. When you understand why that number's so high, then you go over and compare it to somebody else. And when you compare it to somebody else, then you find yourself going, this is normal. We should reduce this number, but this number is normal. It's not acceptable for one person to get harmed by anybody, but that number is normal. And then you start working on reducing that number. And then once you start working on reducing that number, that's when that communication comes through. And when that communication comes through, those statistics go down. And when those statistics go down, you can tell people, hey, go jump in the lake. Because we don't want to hear that anymore. Which leads me to another topic, lack of research. Lack of research. At one point, you used to be able to stand on something foolish, like 92% of black on black crime, and like my second favorite statistic, 58% of the people in the prisons are black. Do you understand? In order for 58% of the people in the prison system to be black, that means and we're only 13% of the population. That means you listen to this from jail or prison? That's insane. That's insane. First of all, it's not 58%. It's 38%. And of those 38%, 56% of the people, as a matter of fact, 63% of the people who get their convictions overturned are black. So if 38% of us populate the prisons, and out of that 38%, you take more than half of that 38%, and they shouldn't be incarcerated in the first place. And that's just the people who have not been found unguilty, that their convictions have been changed. I would argue that anybody who watches this knows someone who has spent time in an institution of restitution who was wrongfully convicted. So if that's the number, then that drops our number down lower. But we don't depend on information in the world of information technology. We depend on word of mouth. We use things like Facebook to get us our facts. We use people who don't like us to get us information. The fact that a couple weeks ago, this dude, Charlie Kirk, was murdered and people act as if he was some martyr. And then I had people in my community stand around and say, well, you know, I don't mean to, I don't give a darn about Charlie Kirk, his life or his death. You spread lies about my community. You turn people against us. And this is something that you've been doing since your teenage years, because I've seen people from your youth attest to this. You created the boogeyman in order to make yourself rich and make yourself famous and make yourself popular. But y'all want to, hey, well, you know, no, because those lies are beneficial to his mission, beneficial to white nationalism, beneficial to oppressing us and other people who are in our standings. But we are willing to allow people to say this with very little information, because people like Kurt and people like others understand that people think when you say something on the internet, it got to be true. If you said and I said and somebody else said, well, what if we're all three in cahoots? Let's reference a book that was written over 100 years ago called Mein Kampf. Well, the author literally says if you tell a lie loud enough and long enough, it becomes the truth. But a lot of us haven't even done the knowledge, done the research, and got the information to combat these things, because we've become mentally lazy. And I'm going to address that later on in the program. You know, we no longer live in a world where you can trust the things that have been said to you. As a matter of fact, even from the time I was a child, I heard this saying, trust nothing you hear and half the things you see. If you could trust nothing that you hear and half the things you see, that means we're living in a world of wickedness and lies. And those lies are detrimental to you, me, and everybody who looks like us. And if we're willing to regurgitate those lies, you're destroying lives by repeating this foolishness. But we're comfortable repeating it. How is it that we're comfortable repeating things that are detrimental to our health? Come on, people. We're better than that. We no longer live in a world where you can trust what you see on TV. What is understood does need to be explained at this point. Because if you're willing to not understand and not do the research and not do the knowledge and not ensure that you're regurgitating a fact, checking everything that I say here on the end of the bench for a few minutes with HRap, then you are willing to feed yourself poison. Now, you thinking it ain't real poison though, rap? Yes, it is real poison. Because if you poison your mind, if you inject your mind with the wrong thing, then you poison your mind. You poison your mind, you poison your body. Because guess what? You feel all this negative, fill your brain with all these negative thoughts. These negative thoughts create anxiety and stress. Create anxiety and stress is pressure on your main what was your heart, your kidneys, your lungs, your liver. Stress on vital organs, on your vital organs. And that is killing you just as fast as drinking Ajax, drinking a Ajax cocktail, a Comet cocktail, bleach cocktail, just as fast. Because you're just like, if you just drink a little, if you drink strychnine poison every day, strychnine is one of the most powerful poisons in the world. If you drink a little every day, it will slowly kill you. And when you bring in anxiety, stress, intention to your body, it slowly kills you every day. Every single solitary day, it takes you out a little more. Just like drinking a little poison every day. And that's what you're literally doing. And you look, have you thought about this? You're taking on stress and anxiety of social media. Then some of us watch the news media and we get more social anxiety. If it bleeds, it leads. So they putting stress in front of you. And then you're eating that chicken and the anxiety for the chicken dying. Or you're eating that pig. Or you're eating that cow. And those things are stressed out as they die. And guess what? You've eaten anxiety and stress on top of your anxiety and stress. And that's why your friends are 53, 54, 55, 48, 46 having heart attacks. When people used to have heart attacks at 75, 80. And that's why your friends are not waking up tomorrow, because we allow the stress and anxiety. We're not getting the proper rest, and we're not hydrating properly. All these things attribute to you dying because we have a lack of research, and a lack of research is killing us. Statistics are only vital. Information is only vital if it can be validated. And if it is applicable to what you're talking about, applicable to your argument. Because again, the aforementioned Karl Malone, the second greatest scorer in the history of the league. Statistically, he is. But you know what? If the game was on the line, if you had Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, George Gervin, Michael Jordan, and said, who you gonna get a ball to? Karl Malone would be dead last. He would be, you would give it to about 10, 11, 12, 15 other people before you gave it to Karl Malone. He scored more points than all of them. But he is not the guy you're gonna get a ball to. So when you're reading these statistics, you're not doing your proper research, and you're just going along with what has been told to you, and you're just accepting the data for what it is that data applicable to what you're talking about? And then the question, if the answer is no, then the data is worthless, then statistics have officially lied to you. And that's where we need to be at it today, tomorrow, and going forward. That's what it is. Lack of research is destroying our community because we believe what the people on TV are telling us. But it's amazing how we only believe what's beneficial to our argument. If you believe what's beneficial to your argument or not the conversation, then you're doing yourself a misservice. You're doing yourself an injustice. You are hurting yourself because you're not hurting anybody else. You're not hurting me. You're not hurting your friends. You're not hurting your family. You're not hurting your cousin. You're not hurting your aunts, uncles, or anybody. You're hurting yourself because if you are foolish enough to believe that the people who've dedicated their entire existence to the destruction of your community will give you any information that will build you up, enhance you, or advance your movement, you have officially lost your entire mind. Period. Which leads me to how we fix this. Lack of creativity. These people not only are brainwashing us with anxiety, false statistics, fake information, they're stripping us of our most valuable asset, our ability to create. We create happiness, we create comfort, we create defense, we create. And when you have your creativity stripped from you, then at that point, your brain turns to mush. And when your brain turns to mush, slavery follows it. Your body will turn to mush. And when your body turns to mush, you won't naturally fight. And when you don't naturally fight, you'll be destroyed. Technology is your friend, but it's your enemy simultaneously. Just like penicillin will kill some people and heal others, technology will help you, but yet destroy you. I told my son this 15 years ago. I told my son this when he was a young man at 16 years, when he was the age of 16. We watched a movie, and I think I've mentioned this on the program before. We watched a movie. It was one of those X-Men Marvel days. And he asked me, how did you like it? And I said, I enjoyed it. I said, the only thing I didn't like, it was too much technology. He said, no, it made it look good. I said, yeah, it makes it look good, but it makes you soften the brain. Technology, artificial intelligence, makes you and CGI, those things make your imagination become dull. Because when you used to have to watch the $6 Million Man and watch him in slow motion and imagine him run faster, you created a faster person. That's why you have people not reading as many books, because when you read a book, the book is always better. That book is better than a movie. What I want you to do is something simple. I want you to read the book of Malcolm X, and then I want you to watch the movie and watch how disappointed you'll be. Hey, one of my favorite movies of all time. But when you watch it and you see the things that are left off, you see the things that have been amended, and you don't notice, and you notice what has been left out, it reduces your ability to enjoy the movie as much as you used to. And then once you reduce that ability, it makes you create it. Even as far as the suit, again, to the aforementioned son, we watched the movie, he read the book. He said, the suit ain't read enough. It's not read enough because it was more read in your mind. It was more read in your mind. The movie does an excellent depiction of the Malcolm X story. The book tells the story. And if we had a brother Minister Malcolm here, he would even be able to give you a better detailed story of it. Example, in the movie, he never mentioned his mother after the middle of the movie. His mother lived till 1989. And most people in this world don't even know that. Brother Bangs is not a real person. That is his brother. I think it's Reginald or Phil, but I can't remember which one it was at this moment. And a guy named by the name of Bimby. That is Brother Bangs. See, that's why technology helps, but it does you a disservice simultaneously. Now, AI takes away from your creativity. It makes you mentally lazy. First and foremost, why do you need AI for, and first of all, this is how they systematically reduce your creativity. Let's just go with music and entertainment. We go with music. 1970. Let's go with 1970. 1970, you had Sly Stone, you had George Clinton, you had James Brown, you had Casey and the Sunshine Band, Ohio Players, Kool and the Gang, and other Crosby, Steele, and Nash. You had a bunch, Tower Power, you had a bunch of bands. 10 years later, you had beat machines. The person that's playing the drum, the funky drummer is no longer needed because I have a machine that does it. And that spirit of the funky drummer that has been used in literally thousands of hip hop songs, where the next generation gonna get the funky drummer from? Because that funky drummer does something to your spirit. But if that drummer is no longer there, that's why the music of today has less value to our spirit, soul, and mental. There's no more horns. There are no more. There are no, because you have machines doing. The machine take the soul out of the soul. Is why you love the music. It wasn't just what those James Brown, Whitney Houston, Nita Baker, Minnie Riperton, and dozens of other. It's not what they said. It was the music behind it and the soul, the sound that they put in their soul, and they reverberated into you. So AI is taking that away from you. It also, if you have a machine to write your story, who can create a story just like you? No, he can't. Because I know details about certain stories that are in my life that AI can never touch. There are certain colloquialisms, there are certain idiosyncrasies that I can tell within a story that will be not said. It will be explained. For example, you got three women, your grandmother, your mother, your girlfriend, wife, or whoever she is, in a room. You're telling a story. All three of them say, You know what your wife means. You know what your mom means. You know what your grandmother means. All three of them just said, Certain things AI can't duplicate. And if you ever lose that ability to communicate in that fashion, all that singing, why our ancestors were enslaved, when they were singing those songs to help their people get through to where they needed to go, all that information is lost. All that ability to communicate. That's why AI is going to take over the world. It will never take over Black America. I can't speak about white America, Latino America, Asian America. I can't speak about anybody else, but it can never dominate us. Because, as I've said this before, you get a woman from LA, you get a woman from Phoenix, you get a woman from Dallas, you get a woman from St. Louis, you get a woman from Chicago, you get a woman from Philadelphia, New York, Atlanta, Miami, Virginia, and Detroit. All Black women, put them in one room. You make an excellent point and say, and I guarantee you, if it's 15 of them in the room, 10 of them going to say that part. None of them met each other, but they will simultaneously say that and understand exactly what they were talking about. Nobody, they've never had a conversation, or somebody can say, and if you're on the west side of Chicago, you could say it's a thing. It's the same on the west side of Chicago. You dig? If you say, it depends on what you said and how we respond, and who responded and how they responded in voice inflection. What that you dig meant. They'll never be able to keep up with us AI. But if you continue to allow AI to write your music, you continue to allow AI to create your music, write your songs, you will lose that ability to innately communicate with anybody and everybody in your community, and it will destroy you. It will destroy you. And I promise you, it will. Don't take my word for it. I just know it. These are not guesses. These is not possibilities. They're not probably. That's how you destroy it. Because when your creativity is gone, for lack of a word, your mojo's gone. We were born with it. It connects us to the creator. The creator put creativity in you, so it can manifest in music, science, engineering, architecture, agriculture, and architecture. All those things are trapped inside of you. Can't do anything about it. To get them out of you, besides exercise. That's why music was taken out of your school. That's why vocation is taken out of your school. Because look, music begets math. Math begets engineering. Engineering begets creativity. So if you don't have music, you don't have any of them. That beat, that creativity that you tapped into, that relaxing of your mind that gets you the actual music. Listen, all I ask you to do this. If you have Spotify, if you have Apple Music or any other streaming service, I want you to do yourself a favor. Go pick up John Coltrane. You have to download it. Type in John Coltrane, Love Supreme. Listen to the first track. Just listen. I guarantee you'll have 10, 11,000 thoughts run through your mind. Just the love, so just that one song. Just that one song. Think about Isn't She Lovely? If you don't start thinking about your children, you don't start thinking about your nieces, nephews, because certain things trigger things, creativity. It may inspire you to call someone. All I do is think of you. You will think about everybody in your family. That's why those things were taken. See, because when you take away music, you take away creativities. Why would you need vocation? Because when a pipe could be clogged, you'd be a plumber. The traditional way is to do it this way, but you know what? We call it hood rig. Some other people call it another word, but I ain't calling it that word. But how many times do you know somebody who can fix something they're not supposed to be able to fix it, but they figured out how to fix it? That's the creativity that we don't need AI for. It softens your brain. It softens your ability. It lowers your defenses. That way, when your defenses, I don't need to make a beat. Okay, hip hop made you make beats. You took away the music. You took away the instruments. You took away the bands from a lot of institutions nationwide. Okay, not a problem. We're not going to pay you to learn music anymore. But, you got people like Pete Rock, Dr. Dre, Pharrell, and others that have created things since then. But if I make AI, if I eliminate Dr. Dre, if I eliminate Pharrell, if I eliminate Pete Rock, if I really eliminate beats by the pound, who's going to be where's the creativity at? Where's the soul? Public Enemy had a song 1989. Who stole the soul? They're stealing the soul with artificial intelligence. It is an assistant. You don't need a crutch for the rest of your life. You don't need a walker for the rest of your life, because your body is the one machine. The harder you work it, the stronger it gets. But if you stop walking and just sit there, you get fat. And when you get fat, you build up fat, and that fat weighs you down there, and then it slows you down, and then you need a walker. But if you just got up and walked around, you ever notice that some young people, older people, are spry as young people, and others, it's a problem getting up. That's because they allow success to make them soft, just like AI made you mentally soft. We don't need artificial anything. If I'm the source, I don't need artificial nothing. I create. If I have a strawberry, I don't need a flavored strawberry. I can eat the strawberry. I can eat the grape. I can eat the apple. I don't need artificial anything. And doubt anything I'm saying, that's what I want you to do. You ever heard anybody say artificial flavor a day keeps the doctor away? As a matter of fact, that corn syrup creates the arthritis in your joints, gout in your feet, all these things. If you substitute nature for technology, GMOs, corn syrup instead of cornstarch, instead of corn syrup instead of sugar, processed sugar instead of actual fruit flavoring, heart attack, autism, dementia, and all those things come about. But when you're drinking clear water, and when you're drinking grown fruit and vegetables and herbs and spices, all of a sudden your grandmother 95 years old. And when you stop eating meat because you're a natural herbivore, and when you start using God's recipes, you fool around and start living longer. So if God's recipes will make you live longer as a human being and enhance your body, why wouldn't God's recipe of creativity, ingenuity, stick-to-itiveness, hard work, moving around, you lose more weight walking and swimming than you could ever do dieting. How about this? If you start eating more fruit, more vegetables, walking more, drinking more water, and watch your body shrink. I'm not telling you what to eat. I'm just telling you what can assist you. I used to be 350 pounds. I weigh 260 now. I ain't do a whole lot of working out. I just moving around and stop. I start moving more than my elbows, and I start moving more than my elbows than in my legs. Then I start doing this. See, it ain't always what you eat, is how much you eat and how much you move after you eat. These things will only create a profitable, successful life. If you think in profit, when I'm saying profitable, profit is living longer. If you live longer, you have more chances. You have more chances. You have more chances to be successful. You'll be more successful. You will be more profitable to your to who? Your great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren. Because then they'll look at me and say, Grandpa Rap told me I could ... My mother's father told me I could do that. My father's father told me I could do that. Profitable is not about money. It's about the profit and the best life you can get. Do you not want to see your great-grandchildren? Do you not want to see your grandchildren? Do you not want to live as long as possible so you can enjoy everything this life has to offer? Without pain, without suffering, without mental anguish, without physical anguish, without spiritual anguish. So either we can do those things or we continue to suffer. You agree, disagree? Y'all already know. You can reach me at theendofthebench.com, TheEndofThebench@gmail.com. Please, again, go to www.theendofthebench.com, www.theendofthebench.com, right there. That's where you can get all my work. You'll get this episode when it publishes. You'll get other things that I've done, and you'll be able to reach out to me. If you haven't already, I need you to please hit like. If you don't watch, hit like. The like is almost more valuable than the watch. Believe it or not. The like is almost more valuable than the watch, because that says somebody liked that and put me out in the stratosphere. I need you to do that. With that being said, I want to thank you for tapping in. I'll be on later tonight doing the forecast. And you know how I get down. I got a show publishing tomorrow. It's a show publishing on YouTube as I say this. With that being said, thank you for tapping in. It's greatly appreciated. This is HRap. This is the End of the Bench Media. I want you to, you know what? I was about to say I'm out. But what I want you to do is watch to the very end. Dr. Amos Wilson, if you came in the middle, go back to the very beginning and watch the very beginning. I want you to watch the very beginning and watch the end. It is beneficial. 2 fingers, 1 word. I'm HRap.
We think that it is enough merely to train our children in Afrocentric thoughts and orientations. However, to train them in Afrocentric thoughts and orientation in mathematics and science without also preparing a nation for them is filled with problems. And often it means then that you will educate maybe a very brilliant mathematician who has Afrocentric ideas, but who in the end still must work for IBM and AT&T and the rest. And he'll find himself frustrated and upset, but in order to earn his bread, he's got to work for the enemy. So consequently then, a part of education, ladies and gentlemen, is the building of a nation and the building of institutions so that we can hire those